They've won Tonys and Oscars and Emmys and Grammys. There's no red carpet 'cause they're home in their jammies. From Melrose Place to Broadway to Janeway and her crew. Let Seth and James bring all the stars to you.
Anywho.
They're entertaining everyone, so who's gonna grouse? Just sit right back and you'll hear some tales on Stars in the House.
What is
I don't know.
that? What kind of bit is
I don't know. I thought
that?
it'd be funny. I don't know why I liked it. Hi guys. Hey, look behind us. Show an angel. Can you show an angel? Oh, it's little Mandy. She likes to be with us during the show. Now that we moved, she used to be underneath. Now she's on the couch.
So earlier, though, she was underneath.
Yeah, it
Just
depends.
wait. Yeah, it depends. Hello. Welcome to Stars in the House. I'm James Wesley.
Oh,
And this is my husband, Seth Rudetsky.
Hi, everyone. This is Stars in the House, and we are a fundraiser for the Actors Fund. I was just talking to Andrea Martin, and she was like, so when are you going to stop doing it? When the vaccine comes out? I was like, we said we're going to do it until Broadway comes back.
And
She's like,
by God, we're going to keep our word.
she was like, you might want to rethink that. I'm like, well, I said, we can't stop because, I mean, the donations are still great. I mean, we're getting these amazing donations for the Actors Fund, and the Actors Fund is needing it more than ever. This, if you don't know, the Actors Fund is for everyone in the arts. And man, I mean, you know, the arts are happening a little bit with TV and film, but that's kind of it. I mean, the amount of people out of work, it's unbelievable. And they're all turning to the Actors Fund to help them pay things like their rent and their medical bills and their health insurance. And the donations you guys give go right to the Actors Fund. So if you can donate, what should people do, Jimmy?
People should go to starsinthehouse.com or text Fund 2020 to 56512, and then you'll get a receipt from the Actors Fund. You'll forward that receipt to donations at Stars in the House.
And then we'll read it out loud, Jerry Lewis Telethon style.
But today,
Yes.
because this is going to be, I think we're going to start sending out the posters next week, because I know a lot of you donated $100 or more on our Vote-A-Thon, and we raised thousands of dollars that day. Poster is right
Am I blocking it?
there, sort of. It's not like the best because it's kind of like the light.
It's covered in plastic.
Quite the right frame, but you can get a Vote-A-Thon poster that Seth and I will sign. So if you're able to do that today, we will make sure you get a poster. We're going to send them out next week. We'll send them out before Thanksgiving.
Our special, our Vote-A-Thon that's what today is a highlight from our Vote-A-Thon day. We had 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. back-to-back celebs. So we're going to be showing highlights from that, plus just videos we've never shown before from our Concert for America.
And we're going to get a debrief from our pals at Pole Hero Project, because they did such an amazing job. And I don't even know all the details. I just know that tens of thousands of young people signed up through them. And look at that. We had the most attended election in over 100 years, percentage-wise. And Pole Heroes all over the country were a big part of that. And Pole Hero Project, we love them, and so we're going to find out from their mentor Avi and Annie, who's one of their.
I love Annie.
Yeah, Annie's coming back.
No, I meant Annie.
Oh my God,
you guys! I love that musical.
Avi, so they're going to be in the second part of the show.
Avi is the Hebrew version of Annie. It only played in Jerusalem. It's about a young yeshiva boy, orphan. Hey, by the way, we're raising money for the Actors Fund, and you haven't announced how much have we raised so far. Oh, I don't have my music on. Why does it always turn off? Oh, I think. Anyway, how much have we raised?
Are you going to? $570,175.
Jewish. Minor in the end. Thank you guys, because it's Shabbos. Thank you for all the donations. Starsinthehouse.com. Oh, I'm sorry. We were interrupting. Brenda Braxton. She's speaking. We showed that clip last time.
Well, we did show that clip last time, but we do have some highlights. So Brenda, since you're watching,
but I don't know if Brenda's still on.
No, but we have the clip from Melissa. We'll let Brenda decide which one we should show. We have Tony Yazbek.
Yeah, we have Tony, Melissa.
Erico. What else? We have another one. Scroll down.
I didn't.
We'll let Brenda decide which clip. Just scroll down.
I know. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry.
Keep going.
There we go.
There you go.
What do we have from Brenda's hour? Because we already showed Brenda. I'm speaking. We definitely have Tony, and we definitely have Melissa. I don't see anything else from that hour.
Because we had the other one. Okay.
Yeah, we showed them all. We'll probably just show both. Oh, now she's still commenting. Brenda.
We love
it. Ended with this. Hey, it's Charlotte from our Broadway cruise. Hi, Charlotte.
Okay. Well, before we have, okay. before we bring on Avi and Annie later, we have a friend of ours who. How long have you known Darius de Haas?
I've known Darius since this show. Comments. You guys know what show that is? Anybody? Hold on, you have to guess what it is. I'll play you something maybe a little bit easier. Anybody know what show this is here? Anybody know what show? Okay, this is.
I do, but
I know. Well, Darius, why don't you tell us what Broadway show we met in rehearsal for?
Sooner or later, you're certain to meet in the bedroom, the parlor, or even the street. There's no place on earth you're likely to miss her kiss. Vanessa is really mad at me now for singing her song.
Probably in her key. Yes, James is correct. Thank you for guessing. Kiss of the Spider Woman. Darius, the famous story is I was the rehearsal pianist. Vanessa was going to the show, Brian Mitchell, there was no Stokes in those days, and Howard McGillen, and Darius. So Darius was one of the dancers learning it. And I remember we were rehearsing that. And I kept being like, who is hitting that A?
Were you surprised because it was a dancer?
Yeah, I was like, it's Vanessa. I kept trying to be like, who has a good voice? I'm like, it can't be the horrible dancer. I'm like, it must be literally because I'm so old school where I think like there's a dancing course and a singing course.
Right.
So then I was like, and then I became obsessed with your voice. You sounded so good in it. Darren, what was it like doing Spider-Man? Was that your Broadway debut?
That was my Broadway debut, and I define Kiss of the Spider-Woman as still, to this day, my favorite Broadway experience ever. I think because it was my first, and it was Cheetah Rivera, and it was everything that I imagined as a little boy growing up on the south side of Chicago, what I imagined Broadway to be.
Of course. By the way, so I forgot. So you went into it when Cheetah was still doing it.
Yes, I did Cheetah's last 4 months and Vanessa's first 3 months.
Whoa.
So Darius, he was obsessed with how Cheetah treated the men in the show. What was it like being one of those men with Cheetah? What was that like? Because he watched from the audience. How about you tell your story?
Yeah, so Darius, because I saw it, I hadn't been to New York when I saw Kiss of the Spider-Woman. I saw it when she was on tour and she was in LA. And I caught it the last 2 weeks that she was at the Amundsen Theater with it. And I caught it like on a Tuesday, and they had like $15, student seats. And so I went the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I brought someone new each time. But finally I went in the box seats because Phantom of the Opera had run for so long at the Amundsen Theater, they completely redid it because they had the money to do it. And so the box seats, I noticed, even though I had the $15 seats way in the back, I noticed the box seats were always open. So I'm like, I want to go there and get a better glimpse. But by being in the box seat, I could see the backstage. And so I could see Cheetah, like that's how I became obsessed with her, because I could see her like joking with the guards, with the dancers. And then I had a different angle where I could see her that she would connect with each dancer, or you would see her squeeze each show. I mean, like that's what I saw. I can't imagine what it was like to be a dancer. I didn't make that up, right? I mean, that's what she did.
You did not make that up. We had such fun backstage. That show was such a great training ground for me as a young performer going in with all these seasoned veterans. I mean, Cheetah being our great leader. Of course, there was Howard McGillen and Brian Stokes Mitchell, who joined the show not too long before I did. He was probably there for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But all of them, Gregory Mitchell, our dearly departed Gregory Mitchell, who we were just memorializing him on Facebook a couple of days ago. Robert Montano, Colton Green, all of them were so wonderful. And Cheetah really was our great leader, and we had such fun, and we would dance backstage, but we always knew that we had to take care of business as well. And that we had each other. That we had each other's back, and if someone missed something, it was like, "Oh, buddy, you missed that," and it was like, "Oh, okay, I gotta get it together." So no, it was, you totally called that right, James.
But I have a feeling that Vanessa was the same way, because I moved to New York finally in 1998, and I made my money doing extra work, right, on TV and film projects, right, and I remember going. I was dressed as some like security guard or military person, and it was all these guys, and Vanessa Williams was one of the stars. And the way that she treated, you always can tell the way that the stars treat the extras, the background players. She treated all of them, all of us, as if we were her co-stars.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Vanessa is my heart. She is truly, truly one of the greatest people I know on this earth. And not only because, of course, she is beautiful, of course, she is talented, but she has such a good heart. And she is such a wonderful mother and such a wonderful humanitarian. And she's so much fun. She makes me laugh. And she really, really knows how to spot people, and if she can give them a chance, as she gave me a chance with her singing duets and everything for all these years.
On concert tours around the world.
She will be your biggest champion. She and tireless. I mean, she really defines what being a great friend is.
She's so down to earth for someone so glamorous. She's so just like, because
she's very because also with Kiss the Spider Woman, it was her dream. I mean, doing Broadway, I mean, Miss America, becoming this great pop star and movie star and everything else was wonderful, but her ambition was to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
And then Miss America and everything happened, and it was like, okay. And then finally, when she had the chance to be on Broadway in Kiss the Spider Woman, it was so exciting. We were so excited for her. It was a really, really, really big deal, a really big accomplishment. Of course, she made a big splash. We all fell in love with her. And there's history, to this day.
But she's so nice because she's a theater person at heart. There are 4 things I want to discuss with you. The first thing is just back to Cheetah. I remember in Kiss of the Spider Woman, because Cheetah was, of course, in her mid-60s, looking 30, and full out nonstop. And I remember the rumor was you could miss a show, but if you missed a show, you had to go to Cheetah's dressing room and explain why you missed it. Do you remember that rule?
Is that true?
I've heard that before, but that never happened with me. I missed one show, but I don't remember having to go to her dressing room for that. However, when I first joined the show, like before my put in and everything, I've been working with Dan O'Grady, one of the dancers in the show who was the dance captain, and I was finally being brought on stage to run all the numbers on stage. So of course I was extremely nervous, and Cheetah was in her dressing room, getting a facial and getting her nails done and everything, with Kate Best, who was working with her, who eventually went to work with Vanessa, Kate Best. And so all I heard was this voice coming out of the dressing room.
Of course.
And the stage manager, Clayton Phillips, said, well, do you want to meet Cheetah? And I was like, yeah. I was so scared. And I was ushered in, and she said, new boy. Oh, we're so happy to have you. Do you bake? That was the first question she asked me. Not do I know the routines, not am I ready? Do I bake? And the reason she asked me, do I bake, was because the person I was replacing in the show was Adrian Bailey. And Adrian Bailey, and I think he did it on purpose, he was baking. I mean, he's a wonderful baker, like Stanley Wayne Mathis and all these wonderful, just wonderful baker. And he was baking up treats and confections and so I was joining the show full of kind of portly prisoners. But his baking was such a sensation that everyone was just in love with that. So of course, not only did I have to follow Adrian Bailey on stage, brilliant singer, dancer, actor, but I also had to contend with the fact that I did not bake, and that people would be like, oh, okay, well. But I guess I had youth on my side, so they took pity on me.
You began the show by disappointing Cheetah. The second thing I want to bring up, do you remember, Cheetah's door was always open, but do you remember what the signal was that she wanted to rest or take a nap and not to bother her? Do you remember what the signal was on her door?
You know what? I don't remember that. I don't, because
she would hang a little baby gorilla.
Yes. It's so funny what one remembers and what one doesn't remember, because I guess it was that thing, you saw it and it's like, okay, she needs to rest or whatever. But the thing was, I guess it's so faint in my memory because she was always available.
Right, it was so rare.
It was so rare. I mean, she was always there. I remember doing Bob Fosse, in backstage, and she would come up with me and do Bob Fosse with me. I mean, she was just always so present, always present. And I watched her 11 o'clock number because I watched it every night from the wing.
Oh, in the web.
But
okay, third thing I want to bring up. You and Vanessa Williams, what is happening with Black Theater United, your amazing organization?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we are working away. We are getting the organization even more established. It's just all the technical things, becoming a 501c3, 501c4, all those things. I am personally on the mentorship committee. So we are working on getting all this stuff in place to work with different organizations and theaters to bring bring students in to intern at all these wonderful places like the Williamstown Theater Festival,
amazing
Society of Directors and Choreographers, Broadway League, Broadway producers, and everything, because we know that there is not enough presence of Black people on all sides of the table, front and behind the table, producing, general manager, technical, everything. So we are putting these programs in place. Our contingent is called the Broadway Rise. The Black Theater United Broadway Rise program. And we have a thing for dream makers, for people who are 18 years old, 19 years old, like college age, and trailblazers for people who are in transition. Maybe started out as a dancer and maybe want to be a sound engineer. So we're putting all those things in place so that we can get it all going in 2021. There are many things. I mean, we have done recording for this Tony Award special that's going to be presented, I think, in December. I'm not sure of the date. You'll have to check with Paul Wantarek about that.
Wow.
But we have a whole section where we talk about Black presence on Broadway, and everyone is doing a narrative piece talking about great people from Juanita Hall to Sidney Poitier, all these wonderful theater performances and everything. So that's going to be Tony Awards. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. So just stay tuned.
And anybody can join, right?
Yes. Anyone can be a supporter. Anyone can join. Just go to blacktheaterunited.org and we will absolutely just fill out our thing there to be a member, and we will heartily embrace you.
So great. So the final thing I want to say is, we all know you're a marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I was saying, like, he's the singing voice of Velvet Fog, but that's not the character. What's the character's name? Like Smokey Joe. What is it?
Shy Baldwin.
Tobacco. Wait, what is Shy Baldwin? I knew it was like a sassy first name. I was like,
Smokey
Tobacco.
Joe.
I was close. Shy Baldwin. Thank you. I got a lark. But the amazing thing is, you have now a new song out, which I listened to today, and not only is the song great, but the video is so great. I love Sing Aisha, and I love that the video mixes sort of dialogue throughout it, because it's real. It's this beautiful song about basically taking care kind of your parents during this kind of horrible period, and not to worry about gifts. Like, I'll take care of you. And you mix in this footage. So is that footage of Aisha going to visit your actual parents?
That footage of Aisha going to visit my parents. It's footage that I shot, going to visit my parents at the Actors Fund home. They were so gracious to allow me to film a couple of times our visiting, because, of course, they have to keep their residents a good distance away from visitors because of COVID and everything. And but they allowed me to come with Aisha to, film part of the video. I did 2 dates with that. Yes, and you're absolutely right. The song pays tributes to families carrying on holiday traditions, particularly when those family dynamics change. And it is based on when Aisha and I had to take on the role of caregiver, and also my husband Kyle taking on the role of caregiver to my parents, moving them from Chicago to New Jersey, and just all the traditions that you carry on with that, because we had such fun things growing up in terms of Christmas and Thanksgiving, but particularly Christmas and getting the tree the night of Christmas Eve, the food, the music, and when your parents can't really have the wherewithal to do that, what do? How do the children do that? But the song has also taken on a bigger meaning because it was written for me by Thomas Maisel and Curtis Moore, who wrote those original songs for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Now they are Emmy nominated, I'm proud to say. And I told them I love Christmas music. I would love for them to write a Christmas song for me. And I told them about that transition of caregiving for my parents. And so they wrote this song, and that was last year. And since COVID hit, and this year that has been so tumultuous on so many levels, it's taken on a bigger meaning. It's taken on, people being caregivers in all aspects, whether it's your caregiving for your parent, caregiving for your child, essential workers, caregiving, frontline workers, your family that you're born into, your chosen family. I think of, people everywhere from, not to get so exclusive, like Danny Burstein and Rebecca Luker, songs for them. This song is for anyone who has lost a family member pre-COVID and during COVID. I think we need that sense of holiday joy really quickly, because we are in such a state that we can't even process quickly enough our sense of grief, our sense of need. And so this song for me encapsulates all of that. It encapsulates us saying, look, we see you too, caregivers, which is why I'm so proud that the song not only supports the Actors Fund, who I am exceedingly grateful to for taking such great care of my parents and Billy Porter's mother and Leslie Kritzer's family and numerous other people, but also another wonderful organization that takes care of caregivers who support Alzheimer's patients. And that is an organization called Caring Kind. And there you see it, www.caringkindnyc/year-end. And we have them both on the card at the end of the video saying, please support the Actors Fund and Caring Kind. Please, 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 please. And also, we released, the song was officially launched yesterday. So it has gotten such wonderful response on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. It's going to stay on there. We have a hashtag called Let Me Carry You Initiative. Please take the video, post it. Let me know what your holiday experiences are, what your caregiving experiences, what your family traditions are. We want to know all of that. And the song is out. It's out on iTunes. It's going to be out on other platforms over the next couple of weeks, but it's going to be on iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, the whole 9 yards.
All right, great.
We're going to show the whole video.
Yeah.
So I know the song means a lot to you. To me, it means fluid riffs and high notes. I'm completely obsessed. It's all right.
We try to please everyone.
I love it.
There you go, Darius.
Here we go. And by the way, just so you know, Aisha is Darius' sister, and his parents, before they retired, were performers. Your mom was in Hair.
My
and
mother
your dad
was in Hair with Andre D. Shields and Joe Mantegna. And my father was your quintessential jazz sideman. He was a jazz bassist, and he played with some of the greats, including Chet Baker and Miles Davis and Blossom Dearie and Gene Krupa, Peter, Paul, and Mary. There's a little side He's on a couple of their albums, actually.
Wow.
So yeah, and my mother sang with my uncle Andy Bay in a wonderful trio, along with my aunt Salome Bay, called Andy and the Bay Sisters.
Oh,
So when
wow.
you see them, you'll know they have this performing history.
Aw.
Here, take a look, everybody. It's a beautiful video.
1, 2, 3.
You don't have to wrap the presents. I know where the bows are. You don't have to hang each bow and bell. I can play your favorite carols. I'm sure I know which those are. No more gifts to get. The stockings all are set. You taught me to be merry very well. Let me carry you this Christmas. Let me try and ease your mind. Let me string the house with lights now. Deck the halls with cheer. Leave the troubles of the year far behind. Why not rest while I take Christmas?
Thank you for the Christmas present.
It's the least that I can do for all the gifts you've given me, not just the ones beneath the tree. This Christmas, let me carry you. Let me carry you this Christmas. However many more we share. Should you ever have to leave me, if you need to go, trust that when it snows, I'll know you're there. You're the heart and soul of Christmas. You're in everything we do. The songs we sing, the friends we call, the way you taught me love is all. This Christmas and every Christmas that I get, I'll hold you. And how you gave without regret each Christmas, I will carry you. Rest this Christmas, and I will carry you. Rest this Christmas, and let me carry you.
Darius.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been watching the video so much and editing and everything, so it's just, now to just sort of stand and watch it, it's like,
Yeah.
so.
And we love that Shelley directed it. We just
Shelley
saw
Williams, wonderful Shelley Williams, who I've known since she was 18 years old.
You beat me. I was going to say I beat you. Oh my God. How'd you know her that
We
long? From
went
what?
to AMDA together. We went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. We were in the same class.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
In New York?
In New York.
So wait, what with Chris Sieber? Was it that same year?
He actually graduated, I think, the year
Later.
before us.
Yeah. Okay,
The
I
year
take it all
before
back.
we arrived, rather.
Look at these nice comments. OMG, I want to cry. This song is just what the world needs now.
Hey, thank you, Aaron.
What a beautiful video. Truly the meaning of the season. Lovely song and amazing vocals. This holiday season will be unlike any other, and our memories will be treasured more than ever. Beautiful song. It's so great. So once again, we can get the song. It's basically just you have your own YouTube channel, Darius de Haas.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and they can also go to my website, dariusdehas.com. You see my name spelled in the little caption there. I know it's put that all together.com. You can access it there. It is currently on iTunes, Apple Music, be on all the other streaming platforms, and we are going to keep putting it out there from now through the rest of the Christmas season. Because I'm sorry.
I was the hashtag. Well, that's you can go to there, but also look at the hashtag, which is the hashtag Let Me Carry You Initiative. I just want to make sure I say that. Sorry, Darius. What were you saying, dear?
Yes. Well, just because I think that it'll be a song that we hopefully will need, just so people can take some comfort and know that they're being seen, that they're being heard.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be a
whack holiday,
pretty huge holiday in terms of the care that we're gonna need to give each other.
Yes.
All right, Darius, lovely to see you. Thank you. Say
Thank
hi
you
to
very much for having me.
If we don't see you before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. I love you both. Thank you so much.
Love you
too, Darius. Say hi to Kyle. Bye, hun.
Bye.
Well, that was a beautiful song,
That
man.
was. All right. So we bring on another pal?
Yes, we bring on our good pal, Dr. John LaPook.
Hi, guys.
Hi, John.
Hi. Wasn't that beautiful?
That dramatic lighting from I was on 4%, so I had to move over.
Yeah, we kept seeing you, but we saw you come back right for the song. I was very glad.
It was beautiful. So I have a riddle for you. What are Norm Lewis, Audrey McDonald, Kelly O'Hara, Fontino Santana, and Stephanie J. Block all have in common?
First of all, you reverse Santino's name, but what do they all have in common? Santino, but they're all
Santana, right?
They're all in equity. There are a million TV shows happening that we're not a part of.
They may all be on
I'm
the
sure they're
same
all
show.
on
Maybe,
a TV
are they
show.
all like on a CBS show?
Okay. They all were very generously participating last night in the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation Gala fundraising.
I saw that.
I moderated it.
Oh,
that is great. Yeah, Audrey now, she's gotten very active now talking about Crohn's. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there any anything for Crohn's? Because one of my favorite singers, Nancy Lamott, basically passed away because of complications from it. I mean, it's like a nightmare. So is there anything new that we should be happy about?
Yeah, there are. So I'm a gastroenterologist too. So I'm an internist and gastroenterologist. There are game-changing new medicines for Crohn's. There have been for a few years now. These antibodies, that people with Crohn's all know about. When I was training, we really had it was like going with our hands tied behind our back. We had very few tools. Now there's a lot of good stuff, and there's for people who do need surgery, there's much better surgery that goes on. There's better screening that's going on. But Ellen Sherrill is this amazing doctor who's at the Jill Roberts Center, I think, of inflammatory bowel disease. Anyway, she was honored, and she's somebody who I've sent a lot of patients to, and who's just wonderful. So anyway, it was a great evening, and they had me on the top of a roof somewhere in New York, so it was very dramatic.
Probably people always come through, man. So tell us what it's so boring. I mean, we do know why, but COVID cases are spiking across the country, and still, I just saw a belligerent senator or House representatives being like, "I'm not wearing a mask and impedes upon my freedom." Like, is there any hope if people don't wear a mask? Is it just going to be rampant death? Like, what are we supposed to do?
I do ultimately have some faith that if there is national leadership giving a message that has us all rowing in the same direction, that we can actually get somewhere. And Tony Fauci yesterday was saying, look, I know people, he was on the phone with his colleagues in Britain, and they're having a spike there too. And they were saying how, what they have in common is that their country is full of independent people who don't like being told what to do. And then Tony took a beat and said, but you know what? This is one of those times where you should really do what you're told. And, it's not a matter, when you wear a mask, you might as well write across it, I respect you. And it's a time, we've talked about it over and over again, but I do think that somehow the mask became this symbol of a political, which side you were on. And it's crazy because the CDC now has come out officially a couple of days ago with saying not only does the mask protect other people, but it protects you.
Yeah, but Dr. Pook, I got to be honest. What took 8 months for them to say that when we knew that 8 months ago? I mean, how it's so obvious. Why would they not have said that 8 months ago?
Yeah, longer discussion. But it's hard. It's hard to prove that you're protected. So the aerosol scientists all got involved. They finally showed some laser studies showing, oh, look at that. Somebody sneezes with and without the mask, and it goes much farther, without the mask. So you're showing some protection. There's epidemiological evidence that wearing a mask protects you. That's from some outbreaks that happen, like on board ships and elsewhere. Hospitals that enacted rules saying that you have to wear masks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's hard to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, but there's enough epidemiologic evidence now that says, look, the masks definitely help. We've just got to bend that. We talked about it. Remember back in March, bending the curve when everybody heard about that for the first time. If there ever was a time to bend the curve, it's right now. With the vaccine around the corner, I've heard that the Moderna vaccine, the data is going to be coming out very soon about that. And by the way, Tony Fauci upped the ante yesterday and said that he thought that the Pfizer vaccine efficacy might be close to 95%. I don't know if he has new data that I didn't hear about. But maybe he's got some inside story there. But it's going to be a very effective vaccine. So, folks, if you're looking for very specific advice right now, here's the two mistakes people are making. We're going to assume you understand you have to wear a mask. One, if you are indoors, unless you are totally with people in your own pod, you have to wear a mask. I don't care if the other people are 20 feet across the room. You're indoors. You can't be sitting there with carbon dioxide measurements and ventilation measure and figuring out what the ventilation is. Open the windows, crack the doors, but you can't rely on that. It's layers of protection. So let's assume that the people across from you are infected and it can float across the room and get you. So wear a mask. Everybody wears a mask. That's number one. Number two, you're indoors. You have to uncouple, I think, for now, eating and socializing. The second you take your mask off, unless you can figure out another way to get the food in, it's through your mouth. So the second you take your mouth off, and by the way, you're talking, and by the way, the people are across the room, so you talk louder, and that has more aerosols. So eat by yourself, eat with your pod, and then go socialize with people outside of your pod, wearing a mask indoors. Outdoors, the farther away from you, the better. If you feel like you have to, you really want to be without a mask, it should be at the very least 10 feet away without a mask, I think. But even then, you're not 100% guaranteed. The farther away, the better. And when I spoke to Kim Prather, who's one of the aerosol scientists, and she said, look, it depends. I said, is 10 feet safe? She said, it depends. Are you upstream or are you downstream from the ventilation? So bottom line is, we've gone through it for so long. If you haven't had COVID yet, try not to get it within the next 3 months, because the vaccine is coming. It's coming, folks, and it's not just going to be the Pfizer one. It's going to be other ones too.
And what will that mean? The other ones, like if Moderna has an 85% rate and Pfizer is 95%. Won't everyone want the Pfizer? But if the Moderna you can get 3 months earlier, shouldn't you get Moderna? I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions.
Yeah, let's. I hope that we don't end. We talked about the theory of that, the theoretical possibility. Let's hope they're all over 90%. And if they are, we're going to have, remember, 100 million doses that the U.S. has already bought, guaranteed to buy from Pfizer. They have an option for another 300,000. You need 2 vaccines. So 300,000. I'm sorry, 300 million. Did I say 300,000? 300 million. So half of 300 million is 150 million Americans. We've already had 100 million before that. That's 50 million. So you have enough for 200 million Americans. So that's going to roll out. And then Moderna, you've got a whole bunch of more millions of doses. So let's hope that we don't run into that business. And let's hope also that there's equity in the way that these vaccines are given out, that we don't run into only people who are connected or rich or, getting it, and that it's done in a fair and equitable way.
Right. Okay.
All right. See you tomorrow night for our Pippin reunion, Dr. LaPook.
Really? What number do you want me to prepare?
Please prepare. Click.
Oh,
I lost you.
Ouch.
See you tomorrow. Bye, Dr. LaPook.
I love. We're having such a good time. I want to bring on our next guest. We'll do the clips at the end if we have time.
We've got our poll heroes.
That's right.
Literally.
Yes, we do. We have our pals. A couple of our pals from Poll Hero Project.
And we demanded their names have to begin with A's.
That's right.
So we have
Annie. Hi, Annie. And Avi.
Hi, Avi.
Yeah, I bet you don't have any walk-on music for me. There we go.
Avi.
Not bad.
Avi, I love we've talked over these the last several months, but I've never actually seen your face.
Here I am in the flesh, or as close as one can get these days.
Aren't you in Colorado? Where are you, Avi?
I am in Colorado. Can't you tell I'm wearing the Colorado vest uniform?
Yes.
The puffy vest, it gives it away.
Your signature. And Annie, where are you?
Philadelphia.
So I can't remember, Avi, I know you you were sort of our liaison in a lot of ways, but who actually came up with Poll Hero Project? Was it you or the young people came to you? How did it begin?
So the origins were kind of interesting and born on the back of COVID times. And really what happened was I was looking for some nonpartisan opportunities to get involved in the election. And my wife, who went to Princeton, forwarded me this email from the Princeton Alumni or Career Center indicating that all these college students had their internships, their typical summer plans had basically evaporated. And so this group and I started to kind of noodle on a set of ideas for how we could get involved. And given the capabilities that we had and the interests that we had, what might be a good set of opportunities. And so it was really kind of a consortium of a handful of folks from Princeton and a handful of folks from East High School here in Denver. And together, kind of collectively, we landed on this poll working theme, which actually, and it was partly on the backs of one of the Denver East students who himself had been a poll worker before this issue became well known. He was a poll worker during the primary here in Colorado. So it was this kind of convergence of any number of things and a group of young people working together to brainstorm and evaluate some ideas.
So Avi, when was that? Was that in May or June?
Yeah, so that was we started working on some vote by mail stuff originally. And as that became this sort of crazy political football that it became, we started to sort of shift our attention. And also there was this kind of expiration date that we learned from a bunch of election experts, where basically states had to have their plans locked in. So that was kind of the first thing that we were looking at. And that was the first incarnation of the project. And then as we were having those conversations, learning about this sort of deadline, which wasn't really a firm deadline, but it was clear that it was impending, we landed on this poll working thing, and through a lot of those conversations, and one of our team members indeed had actually done this, and we thought, wow, that's kind of an interesting opportunity. And lo and behold, I mean, what's bananas about this whole thing is that, I think that many of us, myself included, probably took poll workers for granted. I mean, it was just sort of okay, that you go vote and there are people who are working there. And what's one of the most gratifying things about this project is that I think that to a large degree, this has become one of the coolest jobs that you can have as a young person to get involved in an election. I don't know. You'd have to ask Annie. She's been it. She's done it.
And how did you get involved?
I found out about the project on Instagram. One of my friends reposted something from Poll Hero. And so I ended up signing up to be a poll worker and then to be a volunteer.
So you actually worked the polls?
I did, yeah.
How old are you?
17.
Wow. So that proves what we kept telling people. You could do the polls if you're not even old enough to vote. So what was your day like? Everyone that came on our show that day was like, I woke up at 4:30 today. So what was it like for you?
What time did you wake up?
Yeah.
I think I woke up at like 5. And then I got there a little before 6. And there was already a line down the block, which was wild. Everyone was like super excited. Like people were cheering and stuff. And then we were there for around like 13 or 14 hours. It was a long day, but it was really great.
What was your actual job? Because some people I know were greeters. Like, what was your specific job?
Yeah.
I was the machine inspector for my division. So I was like setting up the machines at the beginning of the day and then taking them down at the end. And in between, I was just helping people use the machines, which was a little bit more difficult than expected because in PA, we got these new machines this year where you like get a paper ballot at the table and then bring it into the machine and put it in, and then it like prints onto it. So I was like helping people figure out how to do that.
So Annie, when you did the training, because everyone does training first, right? Do they train you for like
any
like
job?
Any job, and then they give you the job that day, or did you find out ahead of time? How did that work?
Yeah, it was like a virtual training. So you watch a video and it explains all the different jobs and what they do, and then afterwards.
How? I wouldn't know how to work a damn machine. How did you become a machinist at age 17? Weren't you like, I'm out?
I kind of picked it up as I went, and at our polling place, there were like 4 different divisions in one building. So there were 3 other machine inspectors who were able to help me, which was very nice.
Annie, and what would you say was, I mean, you haven't voted before, but I mean, as Avi was saying, and Seth and I have spoken before, it's like usually the average age is, you've said on the show, in their 60s. What was the, like, were there a lot of people your age? Were you the only one? Were you the only teenager?
Yeah, what was the age range?
Yeah,
and how
what was
many,
the age
what
range?
percentage?
It definitely skewed older. I think I was the only high school student there, and there were a few other people on the younger side. But yeah, there were a few people at my table who were telling me about their grandkids and stuff.
Not us. Now, by the way, the outreach was just amazing. I mean, this is just one comment. My 17-year-old niece was a poll worker after I suggested it from listening to these poll heroes. I mean, obviously, so great. We had so many people come on our show. So you started this thing in May. How many poll workers did you wind up recruiting?
So in the end, it was about 37,000 plus young people who signed up to be poll workers. It was pretty bonkers. And just for a little context, when we initially launched the project, kind of end of July timeframe, we had no sense of what the appropriate benchmark. We knew that there was a really substantial need, but we just, we set a fairly modest goal, or what we thought was, it's funny, what in retrospect was a fairly modest goal, but seemed a little bit aggressive at the time. We said, all right, can we recruit 1,000 young people who want to be poll workers?
Oh, wow.
And I remember I actually went on a camping trip, again, Colorado Vest, went on a camping trip, and I came back after the first weekend after we went live. And I think Annie may have already signed up at that point. And we had a couple hundred people who had registered. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of bonkers. My background is in startups, and more often than not, you launch something and it's like crickets.
Yeah.
And so there was a pretty remarkable initial response, and it just sort of went up and up and up. And, the level, and thanks to you guys in many respects, there was just a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and media support, interest from the press. And I think that in many cases, there were 37,000 plus kids who signed up, high school and college students who signed up with us. But I think that the incredible media crush also just elevated this issue into the public consciousness.
Yeah.
And so there were huge, and don't get me wrong, there were other organizations that were really hammering away and doing a remarkably good job. But I think it was this sort of like rising tide lifting all boats. And so the great news was that, I mean, towards the end of the project, as Annie can attest to, because she was doing outreach in a lot of these places, there were cities that were so oversubscribed that they were just saying, enough, back off, we're good for now.
Which Avi, when we spoke, and I guess I mean, what did I do? Did I just do like a Google search and I was looking up a poll workers youth or something? I think I had done that, and I found you. Maybe Blake found out, and then we talked, and it just, and I think a few weeks later is when Poll Hero started being on our show. But it was such a I think you're right. I'm just trying to think. There was no way to know that there would be so many organizations that would be doing the same thing. We were just starting to talk about it, of the great need, but it wasn't a competition. It was all, like you said, all boats being lifted here.
Yeah.
And I do think Poll Hero was a big part of that. And I think forever now we'll know how important poll workers are, and we'll be there. And it isn't just like senior citizens. This is what senior citizens do. And yeah, it's something you do on election day. It's like a really important part of democracy, and we should all be involved. And I think y'all were a big part of it, and congratulations.
I guess my question to you, Avi, is, we James and I found some of our celebrity friends to offer Zoom dates and stuff like that if people follow through, because you were nervous that people would sign up and then fade out. So what was the attrition rate? And by the way, I don't know what the word attrition means. I don't know if it's good or bad, but what was it? And also define what that means.
Yeah, so we ran some surveys, and we think that basically in the end, about a quarter of the folks who signed up ended up being, so 25+% or so ended up having the opportunity to work the polls based on the follow-up research that we did. And that's, we were actually, there was one election expert that we talked to at one point who said that, basically what you have to understand is that there are really substantial sign-up rates and then really substantial drop-off rates just historically. This is just how things have worked, but they're even more pronounced now because of the COVID situation. So historically, he said the conversion rates, or whatever you want to call it, has hovered around 20%, and so they expected that it would be lower. And so, I think that's great. And the cool thing is, in many cases, people didn't get the opportunity to work because, again, their jurisdictions were oversubscribed. But what's really encouraging is that those people are now on the lists for their local county clerks or whomever, and will have the opportunity to work in the future.
Well, and if you think about it, it's like the average voting rate in the United States until this election, with such an amazing turnout, has usually been around 50%. So if you think about it, and it's like going and voting which takes, if you're fortunate, no more than an hour, versus like Annie's day that was like 14 hours. It's a huge commitment. 25% is actually, I think, really good.
Yeah, we had no idea what to expect, right? And you have to assume that there's going to be some drop off. And I think that what's really encouraging about it is, as much there are all of these sort of exogenous factors that ultimately determine whether someone gets to work the polls, including whether their jurisdiction still has capacity, still has an open need. And I think that what's just so encouraging about it is the overall incredible proliferation of interest and enthusiasm, right? And people who were really searching for a way to be involved. And I mean, I find that very hopeful and very encouraging for the future.
Annie, so when you got home at the end of November 3rd, how did you feel? Would you do it again? Like, what's next for you with this part of your activist young life?
Did you regret wearing high heels?
I felt really good at the end of the day. It was really nice to know that I was able to contribute something to the election, because, like you said, I wasn't able to vote. So while I was stressed about the election in general, it felt really good to be able to have an impact on that.
Wow. So wonderful. And I guess, Avi, this is the other thing I want to ask you before you guys go. The way we used to promote it is by saying, in these primaries, there were all these voting places that didn't have enough people working. Do you know what the difference was for this election versus the primaries, where there was all this dearth of people?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of case studies that are just triumphant successes. So the most glaring one, perhaps the most egregious one, was in Milwaukee. The Milwaukee primary, as you may recall, there were only 5 of 180 polling locations open. So they had lines around the city. That was a cataclysm. And I think that that's one of the things, while that was a disaster, I think that really brought this issue to light and started to land it on people's radar that, whoa, this is going to really dramatically affect just the like grinded out operations of the election, never mind all the other things that lead to people voting. And on election day, they had 173 polling locations open in Milwaukee. And I don't know why they didn't have 180, but I mean, 173 was a huge success, and they had a tremendous surplus of poll workers. And in Philadelphia, and you know, Annie is really in the center of it all. In Philadelphia, they had there was the need was 8,500 for the primary. We were told they had 2,500, and they dramatically exceeded that.
Wow, that's it's just such a success story. All right, well, congratulations to both of you. I want to give you guys the Peabody Award. I don't even know what the award is, but I just feel like you've done something so great. I wish it was an award that was appropriate. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing ride, and Avi, thank you for trusting us when I said, "Well, can you and I don't know if it was Kennedy and I just said every day, like Black Theater United, speaking of Darius, and having someone at the beginning of each show, and you're like, sure."
It was great.
We loved it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for your support. It means a lot to us.
We love all those young people. Thank you. Congratulations, Annie. Congratulations, Avi. Peace out.
We'll see you
Ciao.
next time on your next project.
Yeah, keep us updated. Have a good ski session. Bye, Avi.
Bye.
Thank you.
Annie. Oh, so great. What a great success.
Yes. Oh my God. And we haven't even shown any
I know.
We have all these highlights.
But it's so rare you get to see like the beginning, middle, and end of a project, you know?
Yeah.
So before we go, we want to show some highlights, like as we promised.
What do you want to show, Seth? Let's have some music. What do
Yeah,
you
we
want
have
to
some
do?
great music. So
Unless there was a particular clip that you.
Well, speaking of voting, this is kind
we
of cool.
That's actually a perfect segue.
This is our friend Alice Ripley, Tony Award winner for Next to Normal, and another great project started by one of our friends, Ruthie Fireberg, who she's working. Anyway, the point is I've known Ruthie for a million years from Playbill. My point is she came up with this thing called singing on cue, but cue as in a line, like standing on line. So for the people that were lined up, she wanted to entertain so people wouldn't go home. So she got these singers from around the country to perform for them. So this is our friend Alice Ripley, freezing cold morning. She was like our first guest. Like
she was on early.
By the way, fully warmed up.
And by the way, she was, because we started at 9 a.m. I remember the email that we got was like, Alice will be available at 8 a.m. And we're like, but we won't.
We'll be asleep.
Can you make it 9 a.m.?
So here she is. This is her singing on the street for people lined up to vote. It's sounding amazing.
Yeah.
With a mask on.
We were singing bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Then good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die. And there we were all in one place, a generation lost in space, with no time left to start again. So come on, Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick, 'cause fire is the devil's only friend. And as I watched him on the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break that Satan spell. And as the flames fly high into the night, to light the sacrificial rite, I saw Satan laughing with delight the day the music died. We were singing bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Then good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die. I met a girl who sang the blues, and I asked her for some happy news, but she just smiled and turned away. I went down to the sacred store where I'd heard the music years before. But the man there said the music wouldn't play. And in the streets, children screamed, lovers cried, and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken, and the three men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they caught the last train for the coast the day the music died. They were singing, bye bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. They were singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die.
Brava.
Seth, how many days
So
ago was
good.
that?
That was
Quick.
13.
10 days.
10.
Only 10 days. Oh my God. I look at that. I'm like, oh, that was in November. It is November.
But it's interesting because, the Dreamgirls poster is behind us, which was 10 days after 9/11. And when we tell people that the concert happened 10 days after 9/11, people are like, oh my God. But I would say it felt like so much time had passed when each day is like so many emotions of up and downs. It feels like a lifetime. So it's interesting that it does seem like forever ago. Also, by the way, because it's been so warm and that was such a cold day, so it also seems like a different season. But we'll show you two more clips. This is just, no one knew what was going to happen. And Stephanie J. Block was on talking about, it's interesting how life goes on, because after the election last time, it was just like back to doing your show 8 times a week. And she remembered doing falsettos, but the difference in the audience, the feeling in New York, she talks about.
I will never forget, because the very next day with Trina's song, right? The first line is, I'm tired of all the happy men who rule the world. They grow, of that I'm sure. They grow, but don't mature. And when I sang that line the day after the election, the gasp and the tears and then the applause, like it just was this communal understanding that we were about to embark on something really rocky, almost like, how did we end up here? And I got to tell you, today, I know this whole thing is trying to keep our anxiety at bay, but I have this strange, my heart feels similarly. It's like, how after 4 years are we finding a race that is still so close? We've got a nation that seems to be living in two different worlds, and I have to only hope for the best of humanity and vote that hope. That's what we did.
I'll vote the hope.
Vote the hope, lady.
I love it.
Thank you, Stephanie J. Block. We will see you, as we always do, very soon.
Vote
Say hi
the
to
hope.
Sebastian and Bibi. She was on our iPhone, I remember, because she had weird Wi-Fi issues.
She made it work.
Okay, so
in conclusion, Seth, anyone, if you want a poster, the Vote-A-Thon poster signed by me and Seth, we're going to send them out.
Everyone's name that was on that day.
Everyone's name, completely up to date. Everyone who was on, Seth and I will sign.
It's so cool. We added the time, so it says 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
That's right.
And we'll sign it and we'll send it to you. Well, his mom does all the rapping and she sends it. It's very mom and pop here, literally, mom. Okay, so we're gonna close with. We have so many great clips. We'll close with this.
I know it's so hard to pick, but we had such a great. I didn't realize we were gonna have such a great talk with Darius and with Avi and Annie. So and John. LaPoop. But Seth, what do you want to do? You want to do Anne Hampton Callaway?
Yeah. By the way, Liz is coming out with a Christmas album, her sister. Just a side note. We'll talk about it when she
We'll
gets
have to have Liz on the show.
But here's our great Anne Hampton Callaway singing a perfect song for the Vote-A-Thon.
That's a great
day.
way to end it. All right, everyone, tomorrow. So we'll go right from this in credits.
We have the original three Pippins from Broadway in the 70s. John Rubinstein and his two replacements, Dean Pitchford and Michael Rupert, and the man who wrote the music and lyrics in his early 20s, Stephen Schwartz himself.
Real quick, Seth, before we go to the to Ann Hampton Callaway, have you ever played for Stephen Schwartz? Like any of his stuff? Have you played? Has he heard you play? Like, does that make you nervous?
I hear what you're saying.
Like, I just heard you say play that. I'm like, are you going to play that for Stephen Schwartz and feel okay about it?
I hear what you're saying. You know, I kind of grew up playing his music, so I feel like it's so the music I grew up playing, because it's the Broadway of the 70s.
Yeah.
So I actually feel really comfortable playing it, because it's like Broadway got very piano centric in the 70s with the chorus line and Pippin. So it's like it's just so in my chorus line was all piano. So I don't feel that nervous, but now I do. Anyway,
tomorrow there'll be like some major sweat.
Oh yeah,
stains.
literally, and
so
shaking
anyone who's
hands.
watching tomorrow at 8:00, if they see sweat stains,
yeah, if you see
know the answer. That's right.
Speaking of amazing piano players, here's Ann
my
Hampton
God, that's
Callaway
true.
for the
Wow.
Vote-A-Thon day.
All right, see everyone tomorrow.
Bye.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the oceans, to the prairies, to everyone. God bless America, my home, sweet home, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my